Hello, CMA families and everybody else who's out there watching right now. My name is Matthew Mosley, and I am your new principal at Career Magnet Academy. I'm very excited to be here tonight, very excited to be at CMA in general. For those who I have not yet met, I was able to serve as the Dean of Students previously at CMA before I went to be an administrator over at South Doyle High School. So I know what it is about Career Magnet Academy that's so special. I know the staff out there very well, and I know the special things that we do within the context of Knox County Schools. So all that to say that I am extremely excited to be here and to be back serving you all and serving our staff and helping us into this this next phase of education for this next year and beyond. So I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. We've got some people that are still coming in, as I can see, but we've had some good turnout, and we've got a lot of questions that have been submitted beforehand. So I wanted to go ahead and reiterate that I sent out a link to a form for you guys to submit some questions before tonight. So that form is still active. So if at any time throughout this process you get a spark in your mind that makes you think of a question you want to ask, then you can still submit it on that form, and we will get those questions as they roll in. I'm getting a few messages here and there, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. I am joined here by a few of my colleagues, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves and give a brief explanation of what they do and their roles here at CMA. So we will start first off with Mr. Brandon Vickers. Let me get you queued up, sir. All right, Mr. Vickers, go ahead.
All right. Hello, my name is Brandon Vickers. I'm Dean of Students here at Career Magnet Academy. Primarily, my number one role as Dean of Students is working with the dual enrollment students, which mainly is the juniors and seniors here at CMA. So I look forward to working with them this year. But since we have such a unique school and situation, I gladly work with all of our students. The other thing that I'm kind of in charge of is transportation. So if you have any transportation questions, please, you're more than welcome to call the school and reach me that way, or reach me via email, and I'll gladly walk you through our transportation process. Thank you, Matt.
Good deal. I'm going to go to Mr. Mulchan next. Let me get you queued up, sir. Okay, Mr. Mulchan. You are muted, sir.
Hello, I'm Mr. Mulchan, Cameron Mulchan. I'm the magnet facilitator at Career Magnet Academy. So I'm primarily in charge of recruiting each year's freshman class. We do begin taking applications around the second week of October. So if you have friends and family who are interested, you can send them my way. And we accept all grade levels now, so we take older kids as well. I'm also the athletic director, so if you have questions about sports, you can contact me. I also help our families get Wi-Fi access if you're having trouble getting Wi-Fi, but if you're in this meeting, you're probably not among them. I'm available to help in any other way I can. So if you have questions about enrollment or anything, I can help out.
All right, thank you, sir. And then we will move next to Miss Ann Orpert. She is your CMA counselor. Miss Orpert, take it away.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Ann Orpert, and I am the school counselor. This is going to be a very strange and unique year, but I promise that we will get through it together. We will love your children through this process. Of course, I handle schedules and scheduling CMA classes as well as Pellissippi classes. But if you or your children have any other needs, I'm here and available. So please reach out, call the school, email, however you need to reach me. Just know that I'm here.
All right, thank you all. I will go ahead and get started. We're getting a few messages for some people who are having some trouble logging in, so I may be hopping back and forth a little bit trying to troubleshoot that, because I want everybody to be able to access this as much as possible. But what I will go ahead and do is I'm going to start moving through the questions that we have had submitted. There are several, and they're kind of all over the place in terms of covering different areas, which is good. My goal and the staff's goal for this idea was to be able to roll into Monday morning having answered as many questions as possible for you, so that you can be as prepared and feeling as ready as you can. I know that this whole process, really since March, there's been a lot of up in the air. No one's really had a great idea of what's coming or what to expect. But I want to assure you that our time here has been spent these last few weeks really digging into our procedures and our protocols at school and just our plan overall for how we're going to attack this year. Just a little bit about myself. My wife is also an educator in Knox County, and I've got 3 children who are in Knox County schools, and they will all be attending in-person classes. So I say that to kind of bring attention to the idea that I am approaching this year with our safety and our health as seriously as I would expect my children's principal to do so at their school. So I want you to know that we're taking everything into account in terms of what we're doing within the building every day. And even for those students who are virtual, we are doing everything that we can do to ensure that your student, no matter what their situation is receiving the absolute best experience that they can, and that they're having all their needs met, and that no matter what they're coming from, that they know that when they come to CMA, whether it's through a computer screen or through the front doors, that they know they're going to be taken care of, not just academically, but socially and emotionally, and all those things that I know that our staff does so well. So that was our reasoning for this meeting, was to be able to sort of have some face-to-face time with you and to talk through some of the concerns and questions that you have on your mind. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and dive in to the first questions here, and let me hop over. I am going to send out a link real fast. Hold on 1 second. If Miss Orpert, if you would just for a second, while I take care of something on my email, if you would just talk to them real quick about schedules and how they are coming out tomorrow.
Sure. Schedules are going to be released tomorrow afternoon, and that means you or your student can log into Aspen and see their schedule. Schedules are going to look a little bit different this year. If it has a teacher listed, that means that that class, whether virtual or in person, is taught by a CMA staff person. If the class at this point says staff, not a name, it just says the word staff, that class is going to be taught by someone either we don't know, another teacher from Knox County, and I don't have a name yet, or someone that the county has contracted with in the Florida virtual program. But those schedules will be released tomorrow, and you or your student can log into Aspen and see the schedule. And of course, call me with any questions. At this point, schedules cannot be changed. The schedules are pretty much set between virtual classes, in-person classes, and Pellissippi courses. So those should be set. I've tried to give everyone what they wanted, and of course meet graduation requirements. So, but please feel free to call or email if you have any questions. Once you see your student schedule, I'll be happy to answer them as best I can.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. I've just sent out a new link, hopefully, that will help the people who are having trouble joining. But we're going to go ahead and move forward with the ones that we've got here. And so some may be joining us here as they get in. So the first question I'm going to address here is one that was submitted through the form. And it says, how will it be communicated to parents when it is considered a red day? How much advance notice will we get? So for those who don't know already, the district has established a protocol for how we're going to enter into the school day throughout the year, whether it's really COVID related or not. We have a series of color protocols. So green, yellow, and red. Green protocol is obviously everything is good. Everything is business as usual. People are in the building. And teachers are in the building, students are in the building, and we are progressing as we would normally, as we would last year, any other year. So that's green protocol. Yellow protocol is where there are some indicators that show that obviously we need to proceed with some caution, and that safety protocols will be in place, health measures are going to be taken, and I'm looking at our numbers skyrocketing here with our attendees. So that's good. It tells me that the link I just sent out appears to be working. So for those who are just here, welcome. I apologize for the issues with the links that you were trying. For some reason, it was working for some people, but not for others. So I'm not exactly sure what the deal is there, but the good news is that we appear to be in good shape. So for those who just joined, I'm Matthew Mosley. I gave a little opening spiel here to welcome you all and to tell you everybody how excited I am. So we are diving into our questions that have been submitted. And I'm just going to reiterate that if you would like to submit a question for us to answer throughout this time, you can still do that through the form that I sent out earlier today or last week. It's the same link. So we will have that form open throughout this process. So if you have a question that pops into your mind as we're rolling, feel free to fill out that form and we will get do our best to get to it. So back to the color protocol. We are currently operating under the yellow protocol, and we'll be opening schools on Monday under the yellow protocol, which means that we're taking heightened security measures, heightened health measures. That's going to look a little bit different from school to school based on the campus and based on the needs for their specific students. But as I'm sure that you've been made aware of, there are some standards throughout those protocols that apply to all schools. So one of those is masks. The Knox County Board of Education last week passed a mandate for all masks to be worn in buildings at all times. That goes for staff members, students, and visitors. So any person that enters the building is expected to wear a mask. There are exceptions to that if they've got a medical documentation or another reason that's been verified. But the general expectation is that if you're in the building for any reason, you are wearing a mask. So to the question about how it's going to be communicated, whether or not we're a red day, that is a little bit complicated because the color protocol doesn't just apply to COVID. It actually has been designed so that it can be used for a variety of reasons. So let's say we have a flood day, like we've had these last few years in February or March. Let's say that we've got a snow day or even just a flu day, like we've had these past several years. They designed these color protocols so that we could apply this to those situations as well. So if there's an event where on a Tuesday night like tonight, there's a heavy rain event and we have flooding over in the Cedar Bluff area, like there has been these past few years, they can make the decision to go red for that specific community. So the idea is that with this protocol, you are able to really hone into specific schools, into specific communities. So you wouldn't just say the district's gone red, everybody shut down, stay at home. You'd be able to say Cedar Bluff schools are facing the flood event. Those schools will be red for today. And the expectation is that if a school is red, they are not shut down. It's not like the old days. We can play some sad music for the snow day, the death of the snow day. But essentially, the expectation is that if you are in red protocol, that you're not off school, you've then transitioned to virtual learning. So the idea is that one of the purposes for the whole district going one-to-one was that we put a device in every student's hands so that we can make these decisions to go red and they're not losing out on instructional time. They're able to pick up the next day virtually where they left off in the classroom. So that decision is a district decision. That's not a school level decision. So we will have no say personally into when CMA goes red or when they don't. That is made at the district level. And as far as a timeline, I can't really give you a timeline. I don't really know because again, it's designed for such a wide variety of uses that there's not really a protocol for you will get 24 hours notice, you'll get 48 hours notice. It's really meant to be able to use in the heat of the moment when you say, oh, there's a snow event, there's a weather event, there's a sickness event, and we can just go red. So there may be times when there's not much notice. It may be the night before, it may be early in the morning as if it were a snow day. The same thing happened, in recent years when we've had to call out for snow. You'd find out early that morning with a phone call. So I imagine that it's going to be similar to that, where the district will make that determination, and you'll find out shortly after that. So not a really clear answer on that, other than just to make sure that your communication methods are up to date, that you're receiving phone calls and emails, because this year, more than any other, it's going to be very important that we're able to communicate with you quickly and easily. So I've been pushing you. You've seen, I'm sure, through the emails or through the calls that I've made already, that I've been pushing our social media accounts pretty heavily, and I'm going to continue to do that. So if you've not followed us on Facebook or on Twitter, or we even have an Instagram, and we even have a Snapchat account that our fine staff members run. So we are really trying to get information out as quickly and efficiently as possible, since so much is going to be changing throughout this year. So go find us on those platforms if you haven't already. Next question is, will virtual be an option for spring 2021? Obviously, everything, things can change, but as of right now, yes. The expectation is that virtual will be an option for this entire year, and students will have the opportunity to choose which option again somewhere near the end of this semester. So whether that's November, they haven't set a date yet for sure, but there will be an opportunity for students to be able to either switch from virtual to in-person, or vice versa, switch from in-person to virtual. So obviously, we wanted to give things the chance to sort of see how it develops with COVID and with whatever else we may be dealing with later in the semester. So that's why we thought it was important, and the district thought it was important to give students another opportunity to make that choice later in the year. So as of right now, yes, there will be a virtual option in the spring, and your student will have the chance to choose whether or not they want to participate in that later on. Next question, if you take a Pellissippi class in the spring, can the student still do virtual if it's available, or will they have to do in-person for that semester? No, you may be a virtual student, even if you're taking Pellissippi classes. I will note that, and maybe Mr. Vickers and Ms. Warburg can expand on this, but and those of you who are already in this process know that CMA and Pellissippi are separate entities. We don't control Pellissippi, and Pellissippi does not control us. So the reason I say that is that even if your student decides to go virtual and they want to be CMA virtual, if they are taking Pellissippi classes and those classes decide to be in person in the Pellissippi campus, then they still have to attend those Pellissippi classes in person. So that's, I think, an important distinction. You can be a CMA virtual student, but if you're taking an in-person Pellissippi class, you have to go to that in-person Pellissippi class because we are not part of the same institution. Mr. Vickers, if you wanted to expand on that at all, or if I'm correct in my statement there. Hold on a second, you're muted.
Yes, sir, you are correct. This semester, Pellissippi is about 95% online. I think the one class that isn't online right now that we know about is welding, and they've got that social distance and massively spread out through the week with small number of students. So yeah, moving forward, they don't know about next semester yet, just similar to Knox County. They're kind of in the wait and see, but they're set up this semester for online. So if they're online next semester, Pellissippi should not be too big of a hurdle for us or for them.
All right, perfect. Thank you. So if, again, just to reiterate, you can be a virtual CMA student, but you'd have to just kind of make sure that you've communicated and understood what the Pellissippi expectations are, because if they are having in-person classes, you would need to go to in-person Pellissippi classes. One note here from Mr. Molchan. If you are wanting to opt in to School Messenger, send Mr. Molchan an email with a current contact info in it, and he will make sure that you are opted in to School Messenger. So if you are not receiving our phone calls or our emails or our texts, I've already sent out a whole bunch of them. So make sure that you've given us up-to-date information. That's cameron.molchan@knoxschools.org. And he'll make sure he gets you logged in and signed up for our virtual learning, or I'm sorry, for our School Messenger updates. All right, next questions. How often will virtual students need to come onto campus for tests? I'm going to let Ms. Orpert answer that a little bit, but as of right now, and tell me if I'm wrong, Ms. Orpert, you're live. All right.
Okay.
We're looking at the ACT is still a possibility, correct?
Yes. As of now, the seniors are going to be able to take the ACT in September, and that's for in-person seniors and for seniors that are virtual. There will likely be an ACT for juniors next semester. At this time, I'm not sure if it's going to be just for in-person juniors. And if your student is in a state tested course, if they're a virtual student taking a state tested course, Algebra 2, for example, if there is an EOC, a state EOC associated with that, they would have to come to school to take that EOC. That has not been determined yet. There's going to be more information about that coming out, and that's from the state. That's not from Knox County, but the state will determine that. And of course, we'll communicate.
Okay, so obviously kind of reiterating, going back to our expectations for virtual versus in-person students, our goal is to have, if you've chosen the virtual route, we obviously are assuming that you'd prefer not be on campus. So we are really trying to limit the need for virtual students to have to come to campus. Obviously, we've got to get you your Chromebooks. There may be some textbook needs that come up, depending on the course you're taking. So there may be some times coming up down the road where we organize a drive-through textbook pickup event, but we're trying to be very cognizant of whether or not people really need to be on campus. So that's going to bleed over into a couple more of the questions that have come up about clubs and things like that, but we'll get there in just a second. Oh, hey, the next one. Will clubs still be taking place? If yes, how do virtual students get the club's information, and are they eligible to participate? So the answer to that question is yes, we are still going to be having clubs. They're going to look much different than they have in the past, obviously. And I'll tell you it goes back to me in my experience with CMA in the past, but I understand how important our clubs are to our kids and to our culture and to our just community as a whole, as a CMA family. The lack of some of the athletic opportunities that we have, the lack of some of the other areas, create a little bit of a void in how our students are able to connect and really build those bonds outside of class. So I really understand how important it is for our kids to have that social connection, to have that group of people that they've really connected with. So I thought it was important for us to still conduct our clubs as much as we possibly can. That said, every club that we're going to have will be virtual for this semester. We obviously will be able to revisit that and rethink it as we go into the spring semester. But if we have a club right now, it will be meeting virtually. And how you get involved with that will come down to that club's sponsor. They'll be reaching out with relevant info on how you do that, but I'll also be communicating through email and through School Messenger and a few other ways for you all to sign up for clubs and show your interest level and get assigned to different areas. So all of that will be coming through me and through the school communication system. But yes, we will be having clubs. It'll just be virtual, and I'll tell you why. Obviously, this is not a year where we need to be not diligent in how careful we're being in the building. We've got a wonderful custodial crew that is going to be doing more than ever in terms of sanitizing rooms, sanitizing the entire building. And in order to allow them the time to do that effectively every single day, we can't be in the building until 7 o'clock at night after school, messing up areas that they've already sanitized, being generally just in the way of what they're trying to do. So, and then obviously there's just the aspect of social distancing and making sure that we're being responsible in who we have in the building. And there are a lot of opportunities for, if a group of students was in the building doing something as a club, even though there's a sponsor there, we need to make sure that we're being very careful in the environments that we're creating for people to be in the building. And if I am not comfortable having in-person staff meetings, just so you know, every staff meeting we've had so far this year has been virtual. then I don't feel comfortable saying, well, you know what, I'm not going to have my staff together, but it's okay for us to put a bunch of students together in a room for a club. I don't feel good about that. So I want them to have that connection. I want them to be able to build those relationships with each other, but it's going to look a little bit different. It's going to be a virtual setup. So look for more information to come about that, and know that I'm taking that seriously, and that we will provide everything we can for that experience. Next question, who will handle virtual students 504 and IEP plans? Will reviews be done soon so that they can be adjusted to virtual learning? That's a great question. I will be handling 504s personally, and then IEPs will be handled as they have been in the past. So we haven't had any staff changes there related to IEPs and how that works. So we are in the process, literally right now, with today even, of starting to schedule those meetings so that we can get you all set up for the new school year. So all of those needs will still be met, whether your student is virtual or not. We are still going to be providing all the services that we have in the past, regardless of your student situations. So just know that you will be hearing from us very soon if there is a meeting or a need coming up that we need to get taken care of. So just give us a little bit of time to get those meetings scheduled, but it should be hopefully by the end of this week. But if not, then it'll be soon after that. Next question, and this is a great one. If a student is unable to log in for a class due to illness, doctor's appointment, etc., how does this count towards tardies and absences? Also, who do they submit a doctor or a parent's note to get it excused? So this is a huge question, especially for our virtual kids. How does attendance work when you're virtual? I will say from the state perspective and from the district's perspective, nothing has really changed in terms of our attendance expectations. Students are still expected to receive and to participate in their education every single day. For 3.5 hours is the state law every single day to be considered a full day. That does not change whether your student is a virtual student or an in-person student. So that said, if there are days where your student is unable to participate, then it is important for you to communicate that definitely to the teacher for sure. But if you are needing to get that absence excused, then Miss Glenda Emmert in our front office, I believe most of you know Miss Emmert, she's going to be our attendance secretary. So she'll be the one entering in those notes and excusing the absences here and there. So as with everything this year, communication is going to be huge. So everything's going to revolve around how thorough we are in our communications to you and how thorough you are in getting back to us about whatever issues there are. So to answer that question in a short way, yes, they need to get in a note if you have a reason why you weren't in class. That being said, and I want to say this carefully, not to give the wrong expectation, but we also know that we are entering into a different year and an environment that we've never really been in before, especially when we're looking at our virtual kids and the fact that we're essentially entering into their homes. And that can look a lot different based on the home. So there will be times when it's going to be hard for a student to get signed in on time for whatever reason. There may be a service disruption. There may be a legitimate reason why they're not able to join class on time. And they're trying hard. We are not going to just penalize for the sake of penalizing. We are going to work with students and families throughout this whole process, throughout this whole year. It just comes down to communication. So obviously our tardy policy is not going to look the same for our virtual kids as it would for kids that are in the building, because we're trying to approach it from a place of empathy and from a place of knowing that the kid is trying and the student wants to be there, but they may just be having some issues logging on. So communication is key. Tell us if there's issues. Tell your teacher, hey, I'm trying to get there right now. I'm having issues, whatever. If you know there's something coming up, if you know there's a reason why, we've got big brothers and sisters who are going to be put in some responsibility situations that maybe they haven't been put in before with little brothers and sisters. So just communicate. Tell us what's going on. That's one of the things that's so special about CMA is that we've got a service-oriented staff who is here to help you all through whatever issues you're going through. And nobody here is looking to get you in trouble with tardies just because you didn't show up every day on time. So tell us if there's an issue, and we will do everything we can to work through that issue. On the flip side, don't take advantage of it. Don't just show up 15 minutes late every single day because you forget to set your alarm. And don't show up, let your face be seen, and then log out and expect that not to be questioned. So if you are obviously not participating in class, if you are not showing up regularly, then expect that you'll hear from us, and there will be some sort of specific action taken as a reason, as a result of that. If we're not hearing from students regularly, if it's been a period of time and they've not logged on, you very well maybe hear from our social worker, because there are still laws around truancy. So that all is absolutely still in effect, even for our virtual kids. So take it seriously, show up, but if there's an issue, reach out to us, let us know. We're going to work with you. Where will meals be distributed at, and will CMA's pickup time be different than the district's due to starting later? Meals, and this is sort of a two-part answer, and there's another question here I think that alludes to this, but virtual students can still pick up food at CMA. They have the option to purchase a lunch just like they would if they come to school. Right now, those pickup times are not movable. I've reached out to the district, and I've reached out to the people who handle our food, and we're not able to change those times for pickup, unfortunately. And that's largely due because I don't know who all knows this, but our food is brought to us actually from Carter High School. So it's not cooked and prepared here at the school. It's brought in for our students. So that sort of dictates that we adhere to a specific schedule. So we have to, just like the other magnet schools, our pickup times will be between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays. So if you come at 9 a.m., between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. on Monday, you'll get 2 days worth of food. And then if you come on Wednesday, you'll get 3 days worth of food. And those are not negotiable, unfortunately. I had another question here. Can you pick up 5 days at a time worth, since we're a magnet school and some of you all are driving? And unfortunately, they said that was not possible either, just due to the planning that has to take place. One good news, though, that I got out of some of these questions was that if you are a virtual student and you are interested in signing up for food, you are able to pick that food up at your base school. So let's say you live in the Hardin Valley community and your base school, your zoned school is Hardin Valley. We can arrange for you to pick up your meals at Hardin Valley or whatever your base school is. So right now, I think we only have 3 families who have signed up to pick up food, and they're virtual learners. So if you are one of those families, or if you are interested in that option, reach out to us and let us know, and we can coordinate with whatever your zone school is, and arrange to have you be able to pick up your food there at that zone school instead of having to drive all the way over here to get it. So I know Strawberry Plains is out there a little bit for some of you all. So I thought that was some good news. Let's see here. I had a question about PB&J sandwiches. Is it possible for kids to get all PB&J sandwiches since each day that's also offered to our in-school kids? And the answer to that was no, unfortunately. They said that you'll have to basically adhere to the KCS cafeteria menu that they post each month online. And again, that just comes down to planning and their ability to provide what they need to provide. This year, food in general is going to look a lot different. Everything is prepackaged, so there is no buffet line. There's no self-serve line that the kids will go through to make their tray. That is not happening at all this year. Everything is prepackaged in a clamshell container that's both for breakfast and for lunch. So obviously that affects some of the things they're able to do. From what I understand, there still will be a few hot options. I don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but it's probably going to limit some of the things that we've done in the past. So I think that's what drove that answer to say no every day about the PBJ. So I would just say to keep checking the Knox County cafeteria menu that's posted online on the Knox County website, and they can tell you what the options are every day, so you can plan accordingly. Next question. Will some CMA students have outside teachers for their virtual classes? And Ms. Orpert answered that a little bit. in the beginning talking about schedules, but the short answer to that is yes. It's possible that your student will be assigned a teacher outside of CMA, just depending on what the course is, and depending on whether or not we as a school were able to create a section with enough kids to assign one of our teachers to teach that section. So you'll know more about that very soon. Schedules roll out tomorrow. And I will say that you may have more questions tomorrow once the schedules roll out, because, you know, in Miss Orbit, you can, again, tell me if I'm wrong here, but if they have a virtual teacher, they may not see that name tomorrow, correct?
That is correct. The schedules are ready, but as of now, if it says, again, if it says staff instead of the teacher's name, that means that the course is either going to be taught by someone outside of CMA, could be another Knox County teacher, or it could be a teacher that the county has contracted with in the Florida virtual program. As soon as they get names of teachers to me, I'll put those in so your student and your, you know, the student and the parent will know who the teacher is.
All right, good deal. And that will all happen tomorrow. You'll get some more clarity tomorrow around schedules. Moving on. Okay, so the next question, is school going to be 5 days a week in person or 2 and 3 like some other states are doing? Many are dividing classes in 2, going 2 days, then a break on Wednesday for teachers to prepare, and then the second half of classes going the last 2 days. So to answer that question, no, we are full on 5 days a week, and that's a district decision, obviously. But that goes back to the protocol model that we talked about earlier, as well as offering students the option to go either virtual or in person. So school is back on for us in Knox County. It's just going to look differently based on whether or not your kid is virtual or in person. So 5 days a week. It is happening starting Monday morning. Monday's a half day for those who don't know. So we are not a full day of instruction. I think there's another question about that in a minute, but Monday is a half day for students. So for us, that is from 9:30 until 12 till 1. So 9:30 to 1 p.m. There was a question about when school ended on Monday. So school will be over at 1 o'clock on Monday. But yeah, we are full on 5 days a week. And then obviously the district will be making those decisions down the road or whenever they decide to about whether or not we will be in red protocol at any given time. Let's see here. Okay, how is CMA planning on addressing the loss of instructional time from the last school year? For example, my daughter had Spanish 1 in the last semester of the 2020 school year and only got half a semester in. She will have Spanish 2 this year, but will be behind because Spanish 1 was cut short. So yes, to answer all that, that is something that you don't want to say fortunately, but you want to say every student is in that same boat. Every student missed out on the exact same instruction. So they are all going into these next classes in the same place. So if your student is going into English or Spanish 2, but only got a half semester of Spanish 1, then they are no more further or ahead or behind than every other student in there. And that teacher knows that, and they've been planning for that. They have spent the last months with that on their mind and knowing that they have to structure how they do what they're doing in this next level to accommodate for those lost days of instruction. So not a single teacher in the whole district is going to go into day 1 expecting students to know what they should have known had they gotten a full semester of instruction in. So our teachers know that, they are expecting that, they have planned for it, and their instruction at that next level will reflect that. So just be comforted in knowing that every student is in the exact same boat, and that teachers are going to do everything they can to make sure that they are not only catching up on what they missed, but fully prepared to move into that next level. So that is something that everybody in the whole district is working on. Will students be able to take the ACT or AccuPlacer in order to take a Pellissippi course in the second semester of 21? Yes. We are still, as far as today, we are still moving forward both with the ACT and the AccuPlacer. That, may change. There obviously are some elements of that are out of our control. So if we go to red protocol and nobody is coming in the school building, then that obviously could have a large effect on whether or not we're able to host a live ACT or an AccuPlacer test. Those are not tests that we can just do online. We don't control those. Those come from a different source. So all I can say is that right now, yes, we are moving forward with that plan. And right now, I can tell you Pellissippi does not want to lose out on any of our kids for next semester either. So they will work with us in every way that they possibly can to ensure that our students have access to the AccuPlacer if they need it, or to whatever that entrance exam looks like, so that we can get kids plugged into Pellissippi next semester. Are there any supplies that teachers need that the parents can help them get for the coming school year? First off, thank you so much for that question. We really appreciate that. As of right now, there may be individual needs coming from your teachers once you start to get those correspondence from them after schedules have rolled out. But we're being provided safety equipment and PPE from the state on a monthly basis. So every one of our teachers in the building actually gets a kit from the state that has all kinds of safety equipment in there, masks, gloves, spray and towels and all kinds of things that they'll be able to use. And those are replenished from the state every month. So there are no pressing needs at this time. I would just say to keep in communication with your teachers so that you can know if there's any pending needs, or that goes the same with supply lists. Those will start to be rolled out as we get schedules released and all that good stuff. So I would just say be in touch with your individual teachers, but I really appreciate you asking that. Will we be recording the town hall meeting? Yes, the town hall meeting is being recorded. So we will put that up as soon as we get it compressed and all that good stuff, and it'll be on our website somewhere for you to view if you missed it. How does bus transportation work? Great question, and very relevant as we're coming up on freshman orientation on Thursday. Just today, we actually put up our bus schedule and our bus routes on the CMA webpage. That is also on the district webpage, on the homepage. So if you go to the departments page for Knox County Schools and then go to transportation, there's actually a link on the left side that says CMA/LNN bus schedules. We are unique, obviously, in the district, so they have their own little link for us. But also, Mr. Mulchan created a great little space on our homepage under the announcements for you to click on bus transportation, and that will outline for you all of the areas that we're picking up, as well as all of the areas that are dropping off at those same locations, and it gives you a time for each. So there's a list of pickup locations and times, and then drop-off locations and times on that document. So if you have a bus need and you're not sure where or when you pick up, then you just go to our website, look under the announcements on the homepage, and there's a link for you to see all that information. And I had a couple of people ask if you have to sign up to ride buses. And the answer is no, you do not. There's no form you have to fill out. There's no signing up. You literally can just show up that first day at whatever drop-off location or pickup location pertains to you, and then hop on the bus and come on. So there's no protocol or process you need to go through in order for you to ride that bus. I had somebody request just a second ago to get a recap of the first part of the meeting, specifically about clubs, or I guess they came in when we were talking about clubs. To recap real quick, just to bring y'all up to speed, we are moving ahead. Everybody is on board for students coming into the building on Monday morning, and for our virtual students to begin their learning on Monday morning. So I know it's been a long process and a lot of waiting. And I know that there's probably still lots of questions that you have, but schedules come out tomorrow. That's going to help alleviate a lot of your concerns. Hopefully you'll have an idea of what to expect for your schedule. And then once schedules roll out, you're really going to be able to hear a lot more from those individual teachers. Virtual learners that are out there listening right now, I want you to know that you will hear from your virtual teachers before day one. So you will know what to do come Monday morning. I know that there's many who aren't sure what to expect for Monday morning, but once schedules are released tomorrow, you will be hearing from your virtual teachers with instructions on how you can show up Monday morning ready to go. We talked about a few things about how the district's structuring their protocols. We're currently under the yellow protocol, and red protocol would be if we are going all virtual, and green protocol is if everything is good and we are all students in the building functioning as normal. So if you want a further breakdown of the protocols and the district's measures for how they're doing that, you can go to, I believe it's knoxschools.org/connect. So knoxschools.org/connect, and you can read the entire district plan there. It's a 28-page plan, I believe, that explains how the protocol works, how the color protocol breaks down. So I will keep plugging through here. Someone says, will school still begin on the 24th with other states making alternate plans and shutting down? Yes, as of right now, today at almost 7 o'clock on Tuesday night, the 18th of August, school is opening up next Monday on the 24th. So we are functioning that way. We are plugging ahead and moving forward. Obviously, it's not our decision as to whether or not that changes. But if it does change, then rest assured that you will be contacted. So as of right now, yes, school is happening on Monday the 24th. Monday, again, is a half day. So that's from 9:30 until 1 o'clock. So make plans if your student needs to catch a bus to know where they're going. Where can my child walk through or get a tutorial of their virtual classes? So that's sort of a two-part answer. First off, there is a virtual learners orientation that's been posted on the homepage of our website. And that is an orientation that we created in partnership with the district to lay out the expectations for all virtual learners. So that sort of is a blanket orientation around the expectations for whether you're a virtual learner or not. Everything from dress code to environment to attendance to all those things that are important to think about when you are entering into a student's home virtually. That can be viewed on that video that we have on our homepage. And I would tell you that actually, if you're a virtual learner, that video is required. And we put a link at the end for you to sign, both you and your parents, to say that you have seen the video, you understand the expectations, and that you agree to what's being said. So if you are a virtual learner and you have not already viewed that video, go to our homepage. Under announcements, you're going to see virtual learner orientation. Click on that, watch the video, sign the form. And then beyond that, you will be hearing from your virtual teachers before Monday. So that will be sort of the next step of your orientation, is that you will get specific information from your virtual teachers before Monday morning on how to access those classes come Monday morning. Next question is, where can I confirm and initial that my child watched the video? At the end of that video, there's a form. I believe actually it may be linked below the video too for you to click on. Will virtual still happen the second semester? That was the earlier question as well, and the answer is yes. As of right now, there still will be a virtual option for the spring semester, and students and families will have the option to either switch or stay with their current option for the spring semester. So if you go virtual this semester, but you decide you want to go in person for the spring semester, you will have that option to make that choice later in the year. For dual enrolled students, when will they receive their textbooks? My daughter is already aware of an assignment due for a class, but she does not have her textbook or lab book to complete the assignment. Mr. Vickers, I'll let you talk about that for a second. Let me get you pulled up here. All right, and you are muted. Go ahead.
All right, so the textbooks have been ordered. We're waiting on them to receive. I believe that actual individual question, Anatomy 2, comes with a textbook subscription or textbook access with the class. So for that student, we're just waiting on a lab manual to come in. In a perfect world, we have all the textbooks on Monday for students to pick up in the cafe, which will be our version of College Seminar this semester.
Thank you, sir. All right, so I hope that answers that question for you there. Next question for virtual learners, are there substitute teachers in place in case the regularly assigned teacher must be off due to a positive COVID test or exposure? The answer is yes. There will be substitutes for virtual learning. Every teacher who is teaching a virtual block of class has been instructed by the district to create 2 weeks worth of virtual sub plans. So those will already be in effect. We're waiting and ready to go with the understanding that if they have to quarantine, if they have to be out of commission from work, that there will be a 2 weeks worth of sub plans ready to go, so that whoever steps in to take over for that will already have a plan in place, and they're not going to have to figure it out from scratch. So that is the expectation, and that's how we're moving forward. How do we get signed up to ride the bus? Again, there's no signing up. You don't have to. You will be good to go. You just show up at your pickup area, which you can see on our homepage under announcements. Click on transportation, and that'll list all of your times and pickup areas, and there's no signing up. School ends at 1 p.m. on Monday and on this Thursday for our freshman orientation, for our in-person freshman kids. So our half days always end at 1 p.m. Transportation from Central High School was a specific question. I would just say go to our transportation link on the homepage, and they are going to outline for you all of our base schools, all of the community pickups that they do. They will all be on that PDF for you to view. So go check that out. It should tell you where and what time they'll be picked up and dropped off. Someone says, I'm not a fan of social media. I only have Instagram. Will that be sufficient? I would say don't make that your only means. Make sure that you're also signed up for School Messenger. But in terms of social media, yeah, that's fine. We will be pushing out information on all of our accounts at the same time. So I would also just make sure that you are opted in to School Messenger, so that when I do an email or a phone call or a text, that you're receiving it that way. That'll be the most effective way for you to get information, is through School Messenger. But then for blanket things, I'll also be using social media. So Instagram will be good. We've got an account, it's active, and that'd be no problem at all. If my student rides a bus, are they able to switch between bus riding and car riding throughout the week? Yes. However that works is fine. There's no requirement that you stay on the bus. If you end up being brought to school one day or going home one day, that's fine. That's no problem. You do not have to fill out a form to ride the bus. Will students be eating meals in a classroom? The answer to that is yes, for breakfast, and not all, but some. In order for us to maintain social distancing and for us to accommodate all of our kids in the morning, we've come up with a plan to where students who have specific teachers, when they get to school, if they choose to buy a breakfast, they can go through the cafeteria line, get that breakfast, and then they'll go directly to that first period teacher's classroom to eat their breakfast. So more information is going to come out about that once schedules are released tomorrow. But for breakfast, there will be times where students eat in that classroom for breakfast. Now for lunch, no. All lunch will be eaten in the cafeteria. And we have actually scheduled our lunch schedule in the cafeteria so that there will never be more than 2 students to a table. So we'll be able to maintain social distancing and all of our safety guidelines there. So all lunches will be eaten in the cafeteria. Students will be sat 2 to a table, adequately enough far apart to where they are socially distanced and all that good stuff. So that answers that question. Let's see here. I had a question about, are we scheduling social time for virtual learners or lunch for virtual learners? And that's a great question. And to answer it, sort of, yes. We're not gonna, obviously we don't have like a recess time or anything like that. But there are going to be periods throughout each virtual class where the teacher is going to have brain breaks or bathroom breaks built into that time. Also, if your student is a virtual learner during lunch, during third period. We only have 2 teachers here at CMA that are teaching virtually during third block, and they will not start their classes until after that first lunch period ends. So students will be able to take their lunch as if they were going to first lunch. So they'll have that first 30 minutes of lunch block to eat lunch, and then they'll join their third block virtual class. But as far as social time, we've really even had to control that at the building level. Obviously, we can't have kids congregating. For those who have been to our campus, you see that there's nowhere really to go. We're a square, so there aren't a whole lot of areas where students can sort of gather, and even if they could, right now we don't want that. So we've actually designed our hallways this year to be one directional, so that students are always moving in the same direction. There won't be any cross flow in traffic, and that's obviously in an effort to maintain social distancing. We've put up signage all throughout the hallways, reminding students that they need to have face coverings on. That 1 tile equals 1 foot. So if you can keep roughly 6 feet, 6 tile between you and the person in front of you, then you're socially distanced. So we've also decreased the time between classes, essentially because there's nowhere for them to go, and we don't want them stopping and talking in the hallways and creating potentially dangerous situations. To compensate for that, we've also scheduled in specific bathroom and brain breaks during each block for each teacher. So we're calling them brain breaks, but really it's just a time to really take a break and to socialize in that new way that we're dealing with right now, as far as being able to talk and sort of relax for a few minutes. But classes will have time in the middle of their class to be able to use the restrooms, because restrooms will be closed during class break. And that's really just to be able to allow us as the staff to ensure that there's not groups of students congregating in bathrooms. We really can only have 2 students at a time in a bathroom, and we only have a limited number of bathrooms. So the best way for us to accommodate that was, we felt, to structure time in class for each group to be able to go to the restroom or take a break, as opposed to doing that in between classes. So sort of a long answer to that question, but there will be some time for them to take breaks and socialize virtually, and they will have a lunch period built into their day. So hopefully, it's not ideal, but that gives them a chance to sort of relax for a little bit, and hopefully within the context of that environment of whether they're on Teams or Canvas or however they're working, to be able to build some of those social connections. Will there be times that they log in for classes like they have for Pell Pacific classes than a CMA class? What will that look like? So yes, if you are a virtual CMA student, then the expectation is that you will log on when that block starts, just like you would if you were here in person. So let's say that you've got a virtual first block, a virtual second block for CMA. You will log on to that class's Teams module or Teams meeting at the start of that block. That's how we're taking attendance. That's how we're ensuring that students are showing up and that students are okay. That's how we're ensuring that we know what's going on with kids, and that no one's slipping through the cracks. So yes, the expectation is that at the beginning of the block, you sign into your virtual class, period. Now, from there, it gets a little bit more, customized to the teacher and to the particular class that they're taking. We will not be expecting for a student to be sitting in front of a computer, staring at a screen from 9:30 until 4:30. That said, it's sort of up to the teacher to structure however they're going to structure that block. So once the student has logged in, once the class is logged in, once the teacher has taken their attendance, done their check-in process, whatever that looks like, then it may look a little bit different from block to block. So one teacher may have a period of instruction face-to-face through Teams, and then set them loose on an assignment or a project or however they're going to do it. Or you may have one who checks in and then sets kids immediately to work and then brings them back at the end of the block to do a period of face-to-face time. The teacher may be doing breakout sessions with groups of students or with individual students. So the context of that block may look different from class to class, but the expectation is that the student is logging in at the beginning of the block and making contact with the teacher so that they know that they're there, that they are in attendance, and that there's no issues that the teacher needs to be aware of. So that answers a few questions. One was pertaining to, will students be online from 9:30 to 4:30 all day, or will they just sort of check in throughout the day? CMA virtual students will need to check in throughout the day to their individual classes. But there also will be times throughout those classes where they're not online, where they've been given an assignment to work on their own. It just depends on how the individual teacher structures that class. Let's see here. All right, this is a great question. My child is wondering if lunch seating will be assigned or will they be able to choose the person they sit with? And I'll answer that sort of from our health perspective. 2 students per table, we already talked about. Assigned seating for this whole year is going to be really important. And I'll tell you why. It comes down to the need, should we have it, to be able to contact trace specific students. So let's say that we've got one student who we find out has tested positive for COVID. Having an assigned seat in every single class and an assigned seat in the cafeteria will allow us to know exactly who that student has been in contact with for prolonged periods of time, okay? So I know that's not what students probably want to hear, and that's not to say that you're going to get randomly paired with people either. It'll come down to your lunch teachers, whatever lunch teacher you have for that block. But to answer your question, yes, in some way, you will be assigned a table to sit at every single day for lunch. And we have to do that in order to be able to trace back and say, okay, we know so-and-so sits here for the block and sits here at lunch. So these are the people that they've been in contact with, without a doubt. It's a hard thing for us to have to make kids do, and I get it. I understand that that's a challenge, but it's worth it in terms of being able to ensure the health and safety of our kids. So it's not forever. It is not permanent, but where we are, in terms of just what we're dealing with right now, that's the best way for us to handle that whole situation. So yes, you will be assigned or assigned seating pretty much everywhere. I'm looking to see a few more questions have come in. I wanted to talk also about some of our building procedures that we've established throughout the year. Like I said, some of these things have been determined by the district. Masks are mandated. Everybody who comes in the building will wear a mask for the entire time that they're there. If there is a time where a student just has to have a break, they need a fresh air, they need to take it down and itch their nose for a second, we're not looking to punish kids because they're struggling with a mask for a second. That's not the business that we're in. We're in the business of ensuring safety, and we're in the business of making sure that you have a great academic and social and emotional experience at CMA. But we're not just going to be punishing kids for the slightest offense with pulling a mask down for a second. We're going to accommodate kids who need a break for 2-3 minutes. But that said, is that we also have to take it seriously that there is there's no wiggle room in terms of, well, I don't want to wear a mask this block, so I'm not going to. That's non-negotiable, and that's been set up by the district. So that would be handled disciplinary wise, just as anything else would. Just as if a dress code offense would be handled. There would be a verbal, a verbal talking to. There'd be a second verbal talking to, and then you're talking about isolation from the general public, and then we'd be sending you home after that with a call to a parent. So masks are mandated. Temperatures will be taken every single day, and that's nothing I don't think surprising to anybody. Temperature will be taken every single day. If the student registers at 100.4 or above, so 100.4 is the cutoff or above, then that student will be isolated. If after 15 minutes of being isolated, their temperature is still reading high, above 100.3, then they will be, they'll have to leave campus. So a parent will be contacted at that point, and they would need to come to campus to pick up that child. We had a question just roll in and say, what is the plan if there's a positive case in the school? So again, we're working in conjunction with the district and with the health department in those cases, where our first sort of goal is to make sure that we've identified that student, that we've isolated them from, if they're in the building, from everyone else, and then we get them to go ahead and go home so that they can be looked after and tested if they need to be. But if there is a positive case at the school, that is where the district and the health department take over. So the protocol is essentially, we are handing over that information to the health department, and then they work with us to determine, like I was just saying, with our assigned seating, who that student has been in contact with and for how long. So we would be able to determine that student was in touch with these students for a full block, and then we would need to contact those students. So that communication is being done from the health department and from the district, not from the school. So the district would be the one that you would hear from when it comes to knowing if there's been a positive case at the school. They will not be doing all calls to the entire school, I'll tell you that. So just because there is a positive case in the school does not mean that every single time the district will be calling the entire school to let them know. They will determine who was affected by that case, and then they will be reaching out to the people involved to make sure that they know what's going on. So that's how that's handled. Some of the other procedures that we're looking at that are a little bit differently this year is that with the temperatures being taken, we're going to have two different methods through which that's done. One is actually they are installing a walk-through temperature machine in our front little entrance lobby area. For those who have been to the school, you've seen when you go through the front main doors, we have that little lobby before you go into the front office. The district has purchased these walk-through machines that essentially the student walks through with their palm up, and as fast as they walk through, it reads their temperature just like that. So every school in the district is getting at least one of those, if not more. We are getting one at that main entrance. So all bus riders and drivers, so car drivers, not riders, but drivers and bus riders are all going to be entering through that main entrance, double doors, through the temperature reader machine. And then they'll be directed into our one directional flow of traffic, either in the morning to the cafeteria or to their first block class. And we'll have more information about that before Monday. Car riders are a little bit different. Because you are being brought with a family member already there with you, then we will be taking your temperature before you get out of the car. And that is for a couple of reasons. One, if you do read high and that you'll have to leave, then it's just a lot better for everybody if we're just able to say, hey, just don't even get out of the car. Why don't you go ahead and just head on home, and we'll go from there. As opposed to bringing that student in, putting them through the temperature reader machine, discovering that they have a temperature, and then having to get back in touch with the parent who's probably on I-40 West going towards Knoxville. And then you've got a 30, 45 hour long issue for the parent to have to turn around from wherever they were, come back, get the child. So we'll be taking temperature of car riders before they get out of the car, so that if there is an issue, you can just stay in the car and leave. If it reads high and you want a second temperature to be taken, we're going to allow you to do that. We would just say you go around the loop in your car, park in our staff parking area for 15 minutes, then come back through the line. We'll take your temperature again. If it's come down, then you're good to go. Come on in. If it has not come down and you're still reading high, then after that second temperature being taken, we would ask you to go ahead and head on off campus, and then we'll go from there. So that is how our bus riders and car riders will work. I'm trying to think what else. That is all of the questions that were submitted on our form and through our email. So if you have any further questions that you want to submit before we call it a night, I would say go ahead and submit those. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. So just to reiterate about meal pickup, you can pick up meals if you're a virtual learner at your base school, at your zone school. So wherever that is in the district, if you don't want to drive all the way out to CMA to get meals, if you're a virtual learner, then communicate that with us. If you want to send me an email, then we can make sure to get in touch with the people at your base school so they know to plan for that. But we've been told by the KCS nutrition department that that would be no problem at all. There are so few of you all who I think are doing that, that it's not a big deal for us to arrange. So that is an option that you have. Just let us know, and we can coordinate that. Let me see what else. I think that's about it that I've got. Mr. Vickers, any parting words for our people here? There you go, you're live.
No, I've been getting some emails about some specific dual enrollment questions, but if you have any transportation questions, by all means, please reach out and email me. Mr. Mosley said that we got the information in 2 different places. We got the Knox County's main website, has all the information, and then Mr. Mulchan's hooked up the CMA site with all of our information as well. But do not hesitate to call the school at 865-622-3800 or email me, and I'll gladly look into your situation with your address and get you the best results back.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Mulchan, you're up, sir. You are muted.
I do that every time.
It's all right.
No, just excited to be back. We can't wait to see the kids. It's been a long, 5 months? So like Mr. Mosley said over and over again, our main priority is to make sure your kids are safe and that they feel secure in the building. So that's what we're here to do. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'll go back on mute.
Now, I'm going to come to you in a second, Ms. Orbert. I have had a few more last-minute questions come in here, so I want to make sure I get to those before we sign off. How many virtual students is what's being asked? We've got a good number. We were right around 100, I believe. Somewhere in that ballpark. The earliest that car riders can be dropped off. That's actually a great question. I meant to say that, so I'm glad you brought it up. Campus is opening at 8:30 a.m. And again, that is to ensure that we know where kids are and that we are able to have coverage for them with our staff. So this is not the year that we want to have kids just hanging out in various areas. Even though our front pond in our little sitting area is beautiful, we can't have just groups of kids hanging out before school because the doors aren't open. So campus is opening at 8:30 every morning. And then we'll go through our protocols of temperature taking and them going to either the cafeteria or their first block class. So I would just ask that if it's at all possible, obviously try to not have your student there before that, so that we can ensure everybody is good and taken care of in that way. How do we get in contact with base school for lunches? What's the process for that? Get in contact with me. So let me know, and I will coordinate that for you. So don't worry about reaching out to your base school. Just email me at the school here and let me know that that's what you prefer, and I can find out that information for you. So they just told me to let them know, and that's what I can do. So if that's something that you want to take advantage of, email me. Let me know how many students that you have. Obviously, you know which meals you'd be planning on doing if you want to do both Monday and Wednesday, or if you just want to have that option, then I can get you in touch with whoever you need to be in touch with there to get that all ironed out. One more question. If a kid is quarantined, can they do virtual learning? I think they can, yes. And and I would need to get some specific clarification on that. Basically, we're not going to say that if a kid is at home for whatever reason, they have to be signed on to their classes, just as if they were sick. You know, obviously, if a kid is home seriously sick and not able to sit up because they're not feeling well, then we're not going to say, well, I'm sorry, you've got a computer, you should be doing your work. There's some understanding there, obviously. So I'm not going to say that just because you're home quarantined, that you also have to be doing virtual learning. You have the option to, but any days missed, any instructional days missed, obviously, if it's for a prolonged period of time, especially, would need to be excused with a doctor's note. So just because you're at home quarantined or self-quarantined or whatever it is, you know, if you're missing out on days of instruction, then we need to make sure that we have doctors' documentation, you know, to cover for that. So that's not a real straightforward question or answer, but I'm not going to tell a student that they can't do their work if they want to. But, you know, if they're missing out on days, then we would just need to make sure that we've got an excuse for that in place. I heard some coming in. Oh, good deal. I see some people signing up for lunches at their base school, so that's great. Will students be mixed with students from other schools? If they are participating in the Florida virtual program, then they will potentially be with other students from other schools, yes. If they are being served by a CMA teacher virtually, then no, it'll only be CMA students. Ms. Orpert, maybe you can expand on that a little bit, but I believe that's correct. If it's a Florida virtual class, then yes.
Yes, that is correct. Florida virtual classes will have Knox County students from various schools. There is also something called KCS Quest. Those are classes that are taught by Knox County students that we didn't have enough students to fill the class here at CMA. So those classes taught by Knox County teachers will be with other students. So it'll have CMA kids in the class as well as other students. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think so. So essentially, if they are part of the Quest program or if they are part of the Florida virtual program, then, and you'll know more about that soon, obviously, as soon as the schedules are released tomorrow. But then they potentially would be grouped with other students from other schools. But if they're able to be, if we were able to make a section of a virtual class with one of our teachers during our school day, then it will just be CMA students. So it really comes down to what the class is and what their needs were. So that'll be clearer tomorrow once schedules are released. And once those are released, you know, obviously you may have some questions here and there. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. And that's about anything, even not pertaining to schedules. If after this event is over, you have more questions that pop into your mind, feel free to reach out to us and let us know, and we're going to help you through those. This whole year, just know that we have put hours and hours of thought and planning into carefully constructing our plan for this year. We've tried to consider everything from not just the academics, but to student life, to, you know, the social and emotional needs, like I said earlier. We want this school year, as different as it's going to be, to still be a great dynamic experience for your students. And we thank you that you've stuck with CMA through all this, and that you are continuing to plug ahead. And the goal here is no different than it was, you know, going into last school year. We are still here for a Diploma Plus opportunity for your kid. We are still here to get them through whatever their individual plans are. If that is taking as many classes upstairs as possible, if that's earning their associate's degree before they leave, whatever that is, none of those goals have changed. So we are structuring everything we do this year with that in mind. And that's how we're plugging ahead. We're just having to rethink how we are serving our kids either virtually or in person. But it all comes down to the fact that we're serving the kids, period. And there will be things that we try that don't work. And I think it's important for me to say that and for y'all to understand that. There are plans that we've thought through and put in place that look great and sound great, and that we'll realize maybe after the first day that that's just not going to be the best way to do it. Know that we are going to recognize that. We're going to be open to rethinking things and reapproaching things. So, you know, I would just encourage you to be patient with us. Your concerns are our concerns. We're not just teachers in the building, but we're also parents. We're also human beings going through this same stuff with you all. So know that we're approaching it from that perspective, and that we are going to meet you all there and work through whatever the issues are. So it may seem challenging and it may seem scary in some areas, but just know that, you know, if something's not working, that's not the be all end all. Come to us. We're going to meet you where you are and help you through it. My little saying that I've been saying to the staff, and I've got some things on the way to sort of reiterate that, has been, you know, this is not hard, this is new. So that's sort of my mantra for this year, is that this is not hard, this is new. So we're all in it together. We are all going to kind of be there for each other throughout this whole process. So just know that that's where we are. One last question before we sign off here. It is 7:29, perfect. Will virtual students be able to interact with other virtual students or students in person in their class? In person, if you're a virtual learner, you'll have no contact with any in-person students, virtually or not. So teachers will not be doing both at the same time, if that makes sense. You won't have a teacher during second block who is teaching in-person students as well as virtual students simultaneously. You will only be in touch with other virtual students that are in that class with you. So to answer that question, yes, you will be interacting every day through Teams and through whatever methods your teachers use to interact with other virtual students that same day during that same class. But you will have no interaction with any with any in-person kids, if that makes sense. Those are completely separate classes, separate situations. So I hope that answers that question for you. Again, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We had a good turnout. This will be recorded and put on our website eventually. If you have any further questions, I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down here. But if you have any further questions that you think of that come up, please don't be afraid to call or email any of us, and we will be happy to walk you through those. But just know that we are sincerely excited to get this thing going. I want to do one more reminder for any of you freshmen in-person students. Thursday is freshman orientation for our in-person freshmen. And if you are coming to that, that is 9:30 to 1 o'clock. Buses are running as usual. So if you aren't sure where to get your bus, go to our homepage, click on the transportation link under announcements, and you'll be able to see where your pickup is and what time it'll be there. Also, if you're coming on Thursday and you've already received your Chromebook, please bring that with you, okay? We're gonna spend Thursday really making sure that our in-person freshman kids know what to do with their Chromebooks. So if you've already received your Chromebook and you're coming for in-person orientation on Thursday, please bring that with you. Make sure you charge it up the night before, all that good stuff. So thank you again. I am sincerely excited to be here. Can't wait to go into this next year with you all. And if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out. Thanks so much.